Taking my lunchtime cruise, trying to clear my head. Got a bunch of pressure. My nasal passages and on my brain. It ain't cool. The fresh air does help. Been thinking about my very first car. The first vehicle I got when I turned 16 was a 1972 GMC long bed. It was an old farm truck, fully loaded, even had factory AC. It was an awesome vehicle. Had a 350 automatic, AM radio. I can remember one of the first things that I did to that thing was, I didn't have any money when I was 16, so I saved a couple of days of lunch money from school, and I went to Sun TV, and I bought me a $13 UNICEF cassette player. And I'll be damned if in about 2-3 months somebody didn't steal that thing out of my truck. And if you know how the steel dashes are on a old truck like that, it ain't the easiest thing in the world to steal a radio out of. So they really worked their butt off for a $13 stereo in the school parking lot. I always thought that was pretty funny. I always get a chuckle when I think back to those early days of being 16 and not really having a clue about what was going on and trying to customize things, if that's what you want to call it. It's more like waiting in line at the Auto Works or Nationwide Auto Parts, whatever it was called back then, and tinted the windows, of course, and I striped them like I've talked about before. Barefoot pedals for your gas and your brake, and the dimmer switch on the floor. Some of you younger kids probably have no clue what that even is. But everything that you could buy, Playboy Bunny, air fresheners, the black dice, door locks, cup holders, anything that they had Playboy back in the day was in my cars for like first 3 vehicles I ever had. For whatever reason, I thought Playboy Bunny stuff was the shit. Later on, I got a cherry bomb muffler on that thing, or 2 cherry bombs, because that dual exhaust, and oh my gosh, it was so loud. I loved revving that thing up in between buildings and in tunnels and under bridges. I'm sure it really made others angry. I'm trying to remember all the stuff that we did to it. It had a tonneau cover put on it by a local upholstery guy, and that was back whenever they were snaps. So they drilled like 1,000,000 holes in the bedsides and had a white tonneau put on it. It had the white roof. It was that, we called it the Booger. It was that awful green color that the old 70s model Chevy and GMCs came in. So it had the white roof, so the white tonneau kind of matched it pretty good. A little bit later on, we color matched the roof. I did blow the motor up in that thing doing burnouts. I hit a dry spot one time, and I snapped a steel crank, which everyone was quite impressed that I was able to do that. Later on, that was one of the first vehicles, man, that we lowered. I got a set of Camaro 5 stars and threw on there, and then we torched the springs that had leaves front and back. I don't know, that sounds so awful, and it was awful, but man, it was dropped immediately. And we drove it for years, never had any issues. I wouldn't suggest doing that these days, but hey, that's just the way things were back then. Later on, we had a front and rear roll pan that we put on it, which made it look pretty cool. You don't see too many trucks with front roll pans. Your memory fades on things like that. I must have been 30 years ago, I guess, when I had that truck. I know it had a Grant GT steering wheel. That was something that I put on it, but there really wasn't a whole lot of interior modifications, or really, I mean, we eventually shaved the chrome on it. I didn't remember that till I looked at a picture earlier. But yeah, it was a fun vehicle, man, to get started on. It really, really was. And I'd like to hear your guys' experiences with your first vehicle that you customized or that meant the most to you. Let's hear it.